Planning and Zoning Committee for Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. It's just past 3:30, and we are hereby called to order. One of our members called in and said she can't be here, so we are proceeding with two. I think we did that last time. Item 2 is approval of the minutes. Do you want to delay that until the end of the meeting, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Good, we can, I've had a chance to look at them.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the, what was that, July 11th? Yes, so July 11th, 2025, June 11th, 2025 meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. So we are now to our item 3, which is zoning cases. We're going to skip down to ZAC 2025-00016 at 1700 31st Avenue North and 1701 32nd Avenue North. Who's presenting?
Applicant's not here for that piece yet.
But he's coming, maybe? Well, we have bad weather, so. Okay, well then we will move to ZAC 2025-00018 at 2119 19th Street South.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Christian Togmas. I serve as one of the planners for the city of Birmingham. So this property is located within the 5 Point South neighborhood. The applicant is Mead Whitaker on behalf of St. Mary's on the Highlands Episcopal Church. And the owner is the Drennan Memorial Trust. So the applicant is seeking to rezone the subject property from CONI, which is our Contingency, Office, and Institutional District, and QB3, which is our Qualified Community Business District, to C1, which is our Neighborhood Commercial District. The purpose of the rezoning is to allow for the development of a parking lot to serve as overflow parking for St. Mary's on the Highlands Church. Additionally, the request includes the removal of a queue condition under a previously approved rezoning case, Z9172, which limited the property to visiting faculty housing only. The property is approximately 0.37 acres in size and is located at 1219 19th Street South, which is 1 block from St. Mary's Church. And if you look on page 2017 on the map there, you can see the proximity from the church. The surrounding zoning is CONI to the north, south, and the west, and to the east is B3. So current on-site parking at the church is very limited. In addition to when both Ramsey High School and UAB are in session, on-street parking is scarce. The church offers numerous events and programs such as rehearsals, weddings, funerals, a GED program at the church, and special midweek church services. The additional parking will alleviate some of the demand for on-street parking, which can be used by patrons of the nearby restaurants and businesses. The adopted long-range land use plan identifies the property as mixed-use high. So automobile parking surface lot is permitted with conditions in C1 and shall be met. The first one is the required parking areas for commercial uses may be constructed using pervious concrete, grass over supporting plastic/concrete grids, or any other pervious surface approved by the city engineer and the Stormwater Management Division to help reduce the amount of impervious surface on the site. The alternative parking surface should be installed according to the manufacturer's installation instructions. And the second one is when adjacent to dwelling zone districts, a landscape buffer yard shall be applied along common property lines. So for staff comments, there's no comments from zoning. Landscape, no comments. From stormwater, applicant must apply for the following permits: a soil erosion and a civil construction permit. The property is not located within a special flood hazard area, and there were no comments from BDOT. The 5 Point South Neighborhood Association met on July 15th, and they voted 10 votes to support and 0 votes to not support. The Zoning Advisory Committee met on August 5th, and they voted 5 votes to approve and 0 votes to deny. And that's the conclusion of the staff report.
Before you get away, only the excess parking is required to be pervious, or is the entire parking lot required to be pervious?
I think it gives them the option to do that because we don't have any requirements for a parking lot. So whereas like usually when parking is over, like when something is overparked, they have the ability to provide LID. But in this case, I think they have an option to provide that.
Okay. Okay, because I was at the neighborhood meeting, but all of the details that you provided today were not available at that meeting.
Okay.
So, reason for the question.
Got it.
Thank you. So is the applicant here? Would you like to come forward and make your case?
Do we need another set? Mr. Thomas, do we need another set for the third person?
No. For the record. Are you good?
My name is Meade Whitaker. I'm a parishioner at St. Mary's on the Highlands Episcopal Church, which is located in 5 Points South on the corner of 11th Avenue and 12th Avenue and 19th Street. And it has been there for around about 130 years. Previously, it was on 20th Street where the one of those hotels is. And that was a wooden structure built more than 100 years ago, and it burned. So the church fathers decided to move and build something that was less likely to burn. And the entire church is made out of stone except for the interior. At that time, when 5 Points South was being developed, as it were, and buildings were being constructed like churches, to which individuals will come, they either walked or they rode a horse or a carriage. And at that time, then there was unfortunately, no forethought given to one day having automobiles so that we would need parking. And the other churches in the area, Baptist Church, Methodist Church, Presbyterian Church, all have that same problem, not having enough parking. It just wasn't thought about, unfortunately, and then by the time it became evident that parking was needed, it was too late because the surrounding land was all taken up. So we have a number of, well, let me back up. I gave you one of these. Does everybody know where we're talking about?
Yes.
And the lot is called Lot, and it's to the south of the AT&T building and across the street from the Ramsey Gymnasium. It has become very apparent over the last decade or 15 years that the demand for parking for church functions, events, has way outstripped the available parking. And as Mr. Togmas mentioned, there are a number of weekday events, not just funerals, but the church sponsors a number of programs, particularly a very vibrant GED program, and that can occupy 12 or 14 spaces. The spaces on the streets are very limited because the students from the university get there early, and get their parking and walk down to the university. So there's not much parking later in the day. Mr. Togmas mentioned what we're trying to do. It was a recommendation of the zoning department, Mr. Togmas, that we rezone it to C1, which is the old B1 Neighborhood Business District. And we have this pesky Q condition we've got to get rid of, which, as he said, limits use of the lot to visiting faculty housing. And there is no housing on the lot anymore. When we decided to work on this, we engaged the services of Shoal Engineering to to work with us on developing the plan and the landscaping, because it is a landscaping-intensive plan. It will provide for 23 spaces, including a handicap space. And if you look at this drawing here, you will see a code on the left, which indicates what the letters are within the drawing. It also indicates the types of plantings, trees, shrubs, so forth, that will be installed. To the right of that, there's a cutout, says property line. To the right of that is a small white office building, which is not part of the project. The property goes along 13th Avenue South, down 19th Street South to the access, the curb cut to and from 19th Street, and right to the north, where it says property, right to the north of that is the parking lot for the AT&T building. Just to the north of that parking lot is the AT&T building. To the west is the Ramsey High School Gymnasium, and to the south is an apartment building, and diagonally across from the lot is a large parking lot, which appears to be parking for the Birmingham precinct, Southside precinct. We're not sure what it is, but we can't use it, don't use it. One of the primary things we're trying to achieve is not only additional parking, but additional parking for elderly parishioners and those who have difficulty getting around, because this lot will be fairly level and it's an easy walk, really almost a half a block to the church, which is right across 12th Avenue, and that will help them a great deal. The other parking we have is on 12th next to the old Rucker House, and it is on about a 45-degree grade. It is very difficult to navigate, even for those of us who think we're in pretty good shape. It will alleviate the parking during the week. Sunday is not a problem. There's plenty of parking on the street on Sunday and in the Ramsey High School parking lot and other places. So it's during the week where the crunch really has come. Some of the elements of the plan that you see in front of you I want to mention are that there will be lighting, which will be along 13th Avenue, and the light will face to the north. And it'll be screened so that the light doesn't go to the residents of either the apartment building or those residents down 13th Avenue. We will also have security cameras. And the security cameras we have on the church now have been particularly useful to the police. And last time they looked at them was after that event, horrible event, just next door to the Circle in 5 Points South. So that will be some additions we'll have. The lot will be secure, meaning it won't be left open so that the public can come in and out. And we have actually been asked by the owners of the stores and shops that are just to the east of it, if they can use it for parking. And the answer is no. It will not be available to any other parties or to the general public. As to security, I'll come back to that in a minute. I mentioned these other two lots, which are north of the Birmingham Police District, and other three lots in the Ramsey High School and AT&T. Our thought is that we're going to landscape this lot as heavily as we possibly can. And what you're looking at right here is a landscaping plan, as well as an outline of the lot. We were fortunate when we engaged Shoal Engineering to develop this for us to come in contact with a lady named Faith Miller, who is a landscape architect herself. And she came up with this plan, and we worked on it together and developed it. She also worked with a landscape architect in that who lives right across, diagonally across from the lot, whose name is Amy Smith. And she has been very helpful and made some good input. And we also talked and received input from Gary Bostani, who is a former several-time president of the 5 Points Neighborhood Association. In addition to that, after we got this sort of developed, I took it to the city urban design department and met with Lauren Havard, who's a landscape architect in that department, and showed her what we had preliminarily. She wanted some changes to it, which we made, and they were very good changes. And unless she has changed her mind recently, she has approved the plan. It's fine with her. Amy Smith says it's fine with her. So that is some comfort about our landscaping efforts. You'll see two red things in the center of the lot, the parking lot. Those are wildfire black gum trees that will be in these little islands. And part of what we want to do is use the islands to retain water runoff, and along 19th and along 13th, there will be a buffer, and I'm not sure how wide it'll be, which will be where the shrubs are and the trees are. And that buffer, if you will be available to absorb water runoff. We're also going to do our best to direct whatever runoff there is towards 20th Street rather than to 13th or 19th or into Amy Smith's yard. If you look at, if you remember, if you can remember, what the Ramsey parking lot looks like and what the AT&T parking lot looks like, and particularly what that parking lot looks like to the north of the police precinct, I think you'll realize that they're not landscaped at all. And what we're offering is a highly landscaped lot so that if you stand on the street, in the street or on the sidewalk and look at it, you won't be able to see that it's a parking lot. It'll take a while for all the trees and shrubs to fill in, but that's the idea, is to disguise it that way. So we think it'll be an addition to the neighborhood.
Well, thank you for your
Beautification
presentation.
of the neighborhood.
Well, actually, those other parking lots, the reason they look so awful is because it was before our ordinance was changed to require, and the neighborhood and everybody that was in attendance, I think, really appreciated the attention to detail that you've given to it. So, Councilor Quinn, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, so, I just wanted to confirm that you guys are gonna have a gate that whenever the parking lot is not in use by church parishioners, I assume the gate's gonna be closed and, okay, because I'm sure you're abundantly aware that there's a lot of parking pressure in this area, and, folks, will, even if you got signs up, they will take advantage of you, so,
Well, we're very sensitive to that.
yeah.
Particularly, we're sensitive to it, particularly at the time the Rucker House gets in business, and we've got our lot right next to it. The second page just shows some sort of renderings. We're going to put a wrought iron fence on top of the wall that's there. We're going to repair the wall, and you'll see some damage to it here, and part of the wall is cinder block. We're going to make that into stone. The fence will be 4 feet high, which is permitted on top of that wall. The gate we show here may or may not be the exact gate we have, but it'll be very similar, and that's our security. It will take 23 vehicles off the street during the week, and we sometimes have a need for that many spaces for our programs. So we hope it'll help the neighborhood. We hope that when we get the planning done, that it doesn't look like a parking lot, and it won't, particularly because it's higher grade. And particularly on 13th, if you want to see it, you have to stand on your toes and look through, because the wall is very high there. I think that covers what I want to say, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Do you have any other questions? Yep. My only question was about the drainage. You said you were going to direct it to 20th Street.
To the extent possible.
How are you going to do that? Because I'm familiar with the property. The neighborhood has turned it down for rezoning previously because the owner who demolished the housing that was on there did it over the weekend without a permit and was not a nice person. So this second try at turning it into a parking lot, I think that the reason that you got the buy-in from the neighborhood was the fact of the thoroughness and making it look like it fits into the neighborhood rather than just being another parking lot.
Well,
And
and
I
we
think
wanted to.
I think everyone was appreciative of that. And of course, people were resentful of the over-the-weekend demolition, illegal demolition in a, historic area of town. So thank you for what you've done. If you don't have any further questions,
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we recommend this to the full council for approval.
well, I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that item is passed, and we'll go on to the full council for a final vote.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. Let's see, did our applicant come for ZAC 2025-00016? Nope. Well, then we will go on to the D5 update, which is item 4.
Okay, yeah, so basically the update is that, I think the last time we were here talking about D5, or talking about the setback issue, there was a vote taken to recommend like a 500-foot setback. And I think we've talked about that and kind of recognized that, if we were to institute something like that, you would basically make almost every apartment in the city legal nonconforming, which would be a huge problem, probably a huge legal problem. And so I think we recognize that that's probably not workable.
Lowering the height of the buildings is the way to go.
Right, and so the second issue, we talked about doing some research and some study. We've done some of that. We've been working through that. We're not going to be done in time to keep this thing moving the way we need to. And so what we've decided is, let's just put an item on ZAC agenda next week, I think on the 19th, lowering that 65 to 45 for D5. Just kind of an interim step, so that to give us some more room and time to do research on what a good setback would look like. And so what we're recommending is that we go ahead and place an item on the agenda for ZAC next week to lower the height of D5 to 45 feet, and just kind of use that as an interim stage to kind of get some breathing room for us to do more research and decide what we want to do about the setback issue.
Okay, so 45 feet, R5, what is the maximum height in R5?
45 feet.
So we would basically be doing what we said, which was just changing the Rs to Ds in the translation of our zoning ordinance instead of upping the height to 65 feet.
Correct. So we would lower D5 to 45, starting, with a ZAC action next week. And we'll put that on the agenda and start to move that through the process. And that'll give us some breathing space to kind of do some more research and understand better what we could do otherwise.
Yeah, because the main thing is for a single-family home. I mean, we've got such a mishmash of mess in certain areas of town to make sure that we do not have a 45-foot building next to a single-family residence.
Right.
So how are we going to deal with that?
Well, they're already in place. I mean, I
Well, there
think,
might be some already in place,
Yeah.
but just because we've screwed up in the past does not mean we need to continue the trend.
well, like I say, I mean, that's, the intent is to go back to what we're doing now. That gives us some breathing room to kind of figure out what we do need to do going forward. And so that's our commitment, is to go ahead and make the change to the zoning ordinance now and to work through, figuring out what we need to do going forward.
Yeah, some setbacks from single-family houses
Right.
are important for people who've been caught up in the mishmash of zoning in Birmingham. So when will we see that?
Well, that's a good question. I think it'll take us some time to do some more research and kind of conceive of something that makes sense. So
Do you
it'll
think
be,
by our next meeting?
I don't think it'll be in 2 weeks, no. I wouldn't say in 2 weeks.
You think a month?
I'm not really going to make a commitment on that. I mean, I think it'll be, a reasonable time, yeah, within a couple of months, I would say.
Okay,
Okay.
well. Council President, you have any questions, comments?
Nope.
Okay. Well, do I hear a motion to
Yep.
to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
So we're not going to hear the first one?
No, not until we get D5 straightened out. I thought y'all could be a little quicker, but apparently you can't. But maybe something will change and someone can think about it sooner than a month or two away. You think? Maybe?
Have you adjourned the meeting?
Well, we're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.